There's a certain kind of control that doesn't come from force, but from emotion. And Law 39 teaches us exactly that. Stir up waters to catch fish.
It's a brutal insight. When people lose their calm, they lose their clarity. And when clarity is gone, control follows.
That's the heart of this law. When you provoke emotion in others, especially anger, you make them predictable, reactive, easy to manipulate.
Because people in a heightened emotional state are no longer strategic, they're impulsive, and the person who remains calm in the storm owns the outcome.
Robert Greene is clear. Never let yourself get pulled into someone else's emotional chaos. But even better, be the one who creates it, intentionally.
That's the dark side of power, the ability to remain cold while others burn, to stir the waters just enough to get them to reveal who they really are.
Think about it. When someone's angry, they expose their limits, their insecurities, their lack of control. And now you're not just seeing them, you're reading them.
Which means you're ahead, and once you're ahead emotionally, the rest follows. Decisions, position, leverage.
This law isn't about chaos for chaos's sake. It's about targeted disruption. You agitate the waters not to destroy, but to draw something valuable to the surface.
Like a fisherman, the calm lake hides everything, but once you stir it, fish rise, they react, and then you strike.
So the lesson here is twofold. Stay calm at all costs, and don't be afraid to shake others when it serves your plan.
And shake doesn't mean explode. It can be a subtle comment, a pause, a challenge delivered with precision. You don't need volume, you need leverage.
Because emotion is leverage, and whoever controls the emotional tempo controls the entire dynamic.
You see this law play out everywhere. Boardrooms, relationships, politics. The moment someone loses composure, they surrender control, and the room always notices.
Exactly. In negotiations, for example, the person who raises their voice, who gets defensive, who reacts emotionally, they're the one losing ground, every time.
And it's often subtle. You don't have to scream to lose control. It could be a twitch in your tone, a shift in posture, a rushed reply. People pick up on it, and power slips.
That's why Greene's advice is so brutal, but precise. He says, keep your emotions buried, because once exposed, they're weapons in someone else's hands.
It's psychological warfare, and it's not about being cold, it's about being composed. You don't suppress feelings forever, you manage them strategically.
And part of managing your own emotions is learning how to observe other people's triggers, their tells, what makes them flinch, overreact, defend.
When you know that, you can create micro disruptions, nothing overt, just enough to get them off balance, to tilt the room in your favor.
And the best part, you stay quiet while they make themselves look unstable. It's self-sabotage. You just set the stage.
It's an art, because you can't push too hard. If they sense you're provoking, they shut down or become defensive. But if you time it right, they unravel on their own.
And here's the twist. You don't even need to win the argument. You just need to stay calm, because in emotional space, the calmest person always looks like the leader.
That perception alone shifts power. People subconsciously align with the stable presence. They trust it more, even if they disagree with the content.
So emotional neutrality isn't passivity, it's positioning. You choose when to move, when to hold, when to stir.
And most people, they stir by accident. They react to slights, to comments, to pressure. They live in the chaos instead of directing it.
That's why Law 39 feels so dangerous, because it invites you to play with fire without getting burned.
Let's bring in some historical perspective. Napoleon Bonaparte was a master at this. He knew when to stay composed and when to stir outrage, not in himself, but in others.
He'd bait his enemies, let them grow overconfident, arrogant, emotional, and while they acted on ego, he acted on strategy. That's why he stayed ahead, until he didn't follow his own rule.
Exactly. Even the masters can fall. Once emotion takes over, even brilliance collapses, because power requires a cool head, always.
We also see this in business. Steve Jobs was known for creating internal chaos, tension, pressure, but he stayed in control. It forced creative breakthroughs, but he wasn't the one flinching.
And that's a key distinction. Stirring the waters doesn't mean you become volatile. It means you create motion around you while remaining the still center.
Which honestly takes practice. We're emotional creatures, but Greene's point is, don't be obvious. Don't let them see you sweat, especially when you're shaking the boat.
Because here's the game. People can forgive mistakes, but they rarely forgive weakness, especially in power dynamics. If they see you rattle, they'll remember.
And that memory shifts the hierarchy. That's what's so brilliant and dangerous about Law 39. It weaponizes perception.
Even in personal life, it's real. Think about arguments with friends, family, partners. The one who stays calm, even under pressure, often ends up with the final word.
Not because they won logically, but because they didn't collapse emotionally. They became the anchor, and people respect anchors.
Now imagine the opposite, someone who always reacts, always explodes. You might love them, but you don't trust their leadership. Their chaos erodes their influence.
And that's the risk most people don't see. They think passion is power, but uncontrolled passion, it leaks credibility.
So stirring the waters, it's not random, it's calculated. You don't throw stones in the dark. You know exactly where to drop them and when.
Because sometimes the best way to reveal someone's truth is to shake the surface.
So here's something important. Stirring the waters isn't about being toxic. It's not chaos for ego. It's strategic, emotional movement.
Exactly. It's not about creating conflict everywhere you go. It's about knowing when stillness serves you and when disruption exposes opportunity.
And like any powerful tool, it can backfire if misused. If you stir too often or too obviously, people will catch on. They'll see you as manipulative, or worse, unstable.
So, subtlety is key. Sometimes it's a single question, a well-placed silence, a shift in tone that makes the other person wonder, second-guess, reveal.
We're not talking about screaming matches. We're talking about pressure points, quiet ones, invisible ones, and you only find those by observing deeply.
That's why the best practitioners of this law are emotionally intelligent. They don't just know how they feel, they know how you feel, even when you don't.
And they use that awareness, not to hurt, but to extract truth. When someone's calm, they're guarded, but under stress, the mask slips.
That's the core mechanic. Emotion disarms logic, and when logic fades, the raw data appears. Motives, fears, loyalties.
But it takes patience. You can't rush emotional provocation. You wait, you listen, you build rapport, and then you drop the line in the water.
And if you've read the current right, they'll react, not because you pushed, but because they were already unstable. You just revealed it.
So this law isn't about control through domination, it's about reveal through disruption. You're not forcing behavior, you're surfacing it.
That makes it less aggressive and more psychological. You're not the fire, you're the wind that feeds it, and you choose where the spark lands.
And when done right, the effects are lasting, not because you attacked, but because they unraveled in front of you, on their own.
Which is more powerful than any argument you could have made. They showed themselves. All you did was stir the waters.
So let's talk about the signs. How do you know when someone is vulnerable to this kind of provocation, when the water is just still enough to stir?
One big sign is defensiveness. If someone constantly justifies themselves, over-explains, or shuts down when challenged, that's emotional volatility under the surface.
Another is inconsistency. If someone's tone changes suddenly, if their reactions don't match the situation, they're already unstable. They just haven't tipped yet.
And the most revealing? Overreactions to small triggers. That's emotional pressure building up, which means a well-placed comment can release it.
and expose everything.
Now, that doesn't mean we weaponize people's pain. That's cruelty, not power. What we're talking about is observation first, empathy even, but also clarity.
Exactly. It's about timing and ethics. You provoke when it matters, not just because you can. Because your goal isn't destruction, it's direction.
And that direction depends on what you're trying to achieve. Do you want truth, positioning, leverage? Stirring should serve a purpose, never just ego.
The best operators don't react emotionally, and they don't provoke out of impulse. They read people, they wait, and when they do move, it feels effortless.
That's what separates manipulation from mastery. One acts out of fear or insecurity, the other out of control and awareness.
And let's flip it for a second. This law is also a warning. Don't let others stir your waters, because just like you can provoke, they can too.
Especially when you least expect it. That passive-aggressive comment, the innocent question, the subtle social jab. These are emotional hooks, and you have to decide if you're biting.
Because the moment you take the bait, you lose the frame. Now they're watching you unravel. And in the game of power, whoever reacts loses positioning.
That's the beauty of this law. It teaches both offense and defense. You learn how to move and how to hold, how to provoke and how to remain unprovoked.
Because in the end, control isn't about domination, it's about composition. If you can master yours, you can read and lead almost anyone.
So let's wrap this one with a clear takeaway. Emotions are the lever. Whoever pulls them with precision pulls people with them.
But if you pull too hard too often, the system breaks. And instead of influence, you leave damage. So restraint is everything.
Power isn't loud. It's quiet. It watches, listens, waits. And when it stirs with purpose.
This law teaches us the art of emotional leverage, not to hurt, but to reveal, not to dominate, but to guide, not to manipulate, but to expose what's already there.
And it's also a mirror. If you find yourself always reacting, always on edge, always stirred, you're not holding the line. You're being moved, and you don't even know it.
Which means, before you use this law on others, you have to master it within yourself. You have to become the still water no one can shake unless you allow it.
Because when you're calm, you see clearly. And clarity, it's rare, it's magnetic, it's powerful.
So next time you feel provoked, pause. Ask, who gains if I react? That question alone can shift your posture and protect your position.
And when you do decide to stir the waters, do it with intention. Know the outcome you want. Create just enough motion to expose, to test, to redirect.
Because you're not in the business of chaos, you're in the business of command.
Next week, we enter another dangerous territory. Law 40, dispraise what you cannot take. Ignoring is power. A law about desire, detachment, and why indifference is sometimes the greatest flex of all.
It's a perfect follow-up. If Law 39 teaches you how to stir others, Law 40 teaches how not to be stirred by what you can't reach.
So remember this, those who control emotion control attention, and those who control attention control outcomes.
Stay still, move with precision, stir when needed, and never, ever let them see you lose the frame.